Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we visit Immingham's Wildlife Garden as they prepare for In Bloom. And we hit the streets for another dialect word in What You Say. And my guest tonight is Angela Greenfield from St Andrew's Hospice, here to talk about this year's Sleepwalk event. Welcome to Estuary News, I'm Emma Lingard. Now it's over to Dan Kemp for the news headlines.
Hello there. Attempts to create a cross-Humber authority to obtain powers for the region look to be an all-time low. Talking in the Hull Daily Mail, the leader of Hull City Council said he's unwilling to spend a further 2 years trying to make the Humber authorities work closer together, claiming he'd had no encouragement from some authorities. Instead, the aim now appears to be a Yorkshire link-up, featuring cities including Leeds and Sheffield. East Riding of Yorkshire Council have also been invited to join them on the body, but their leader, Councillor Stephen Parnaby, said he's unwilling to comment at this early stage of discussions. North East Lincolnshire Council say roadworks in Grimsby are necessary despite some concerns from local residents and business owners. The works down Cromwell Road and the Market Hotel roundabout involve resurfacing and placing new road markings. The same area was subject to works earlier in the year and caused disruption.
They do really bad. They did it in January. People just avoid the area. They're sick of it. All this has been going on since January. It's just annoying now.
And while we're on Cromwell Road, prior to doing the works, we dealt with the drainage in the area due to the current issues. And it's really about repairing potholes, making better roads for road users. Well, we do apologise to traders in the area, but it is essential roadwork repairs that we're doing.
The World Seafood Congress, to be held in Grimsby later this summer, has today announced a high-profile sponsor. Supermarket Asda became the first store of its kind to publish comprehensive details on the fisheries that supply their stores through a collaboration with the Sustainable Fisheries Partnership in 2014. Asda adds to the lineup of household brands that are already signed up, including Marks & Spencer, the Saucy Fish Company and Young's. The Congress will take place at the Grimsby Institute from the 5th to the 9th of September. In Bloom season is gearing up, and in Immingham it's starting with a new garden. Following on from the success of the World War Trench last year, the town has decided to unveil a garden designed by 4 local primary schools, which encourages local insect life.
Well, In Bloom has always got a new project that each year. I mean, we've done fantastic with In Bloom for Immingham over the last 4 or 5 years, achieving gold awards, environmental awards and everything that's for working with children. So this year, our new project for this year's campaign was to actually turn a bit of wasteland into a wildlife haven. And again, what we always do is say we involve all 4 primary schools, and each primary school was given a theme and a project relating to wildlife.
And have you ever thought that working with electricity would give you a buzz? Well, the company that run the electricity network in our region are looking for new recruits. Northern Power Grid are seeking craft apprentices as part of their 8-year recruitment drive. During this time, the company will be investing £3 billion in our area's grid, including the training of these new apprentices. And that's all for now.
Thank you, Dan. Now, in its 8th year, Sleepwalk 2015 is billed as a great girls' night out. Raising money for St Andrew's Hospice, the walk is one of many fundraising events people are encouraged to take part in. And joining me in the studio is Angela Greenfield, Events Coordinator for St Andrew's Hospice. Angela, welcome to the programme. First of all, just explain to me, what is Sleepwalk all about?
The Sleepwalk is a sponsored ladies' night walk.
Right.
So it starts at midnight, just to give it a different twist.
Yeah.
And the participants actually walk through the night, hence the name Sleepwalk.
Exactly. It says it already, doesn't it? How many miles then are people expected? I mean, do you have different lengths of walk?
We do. The actual main walk is 11 miles.
Right.
But we do also do a half distance, which is 5.5 miles for anybody who can't or doesn't want to do the full route.
So this is it. It doesn't matter what your ability, you can, do a long or a shorter walk as you really want.
You can, yes.
Okay. Now, people who can participate in this, is it for everybody?
More or less, as long as people have got a reasonable level of fitness. It is a ladies-only event, so it is only ladies that can take part, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Although if gentlemen want to get involved, they can come and help out as marshals, so they can walk the route as well as a marshal. And it's open to anybody above the age of 11 years.
Right.
And there's no upper age limit. I mean, we've had people in their 70s, even in their early 80s, taking part. So,
and it's a fun evening then, I take it.
It is.
I mean, I build it there as the great girls' night out, is it?
It is. I mean, it's hard work and it is a challenge because 11 miles at any time is quite a distance, but to do it at night when you'd normally be asleep,
yes,
just gives it that extra little bit of a challenge. But the atmosphere on the night is absolutely amazing. There's entertainment before the ladies set off. There's breakfast buns and Bucks Fizz when they get back.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a medal, and there's just this great sense of camaraderie. Everybody really gets involved, and it's a really good night out.
Brilliant. Now, I have seen some photographs, and the women seem to embrace it by some of them dressing up in fancy dress. I mean, is that compulsory?
No, it's not. The theme of it is pyjamas.
Right.
So a lot of people wear pyjamas. We've had quite a few have embraced the onesie look the last few years since onesies became popular. But we do also have the few that turn up in various kinds of fancy dress. There's one team in particular, they go for a different theme every year.
Right.
And they've had some great creations.
As I say, I mean, the people themselves, do you find that people come together as a team to do the event then, or do you have people doing it on their own?
We have both. I mean, we have large teams of friends, family, people from companies who get together as a work team, but then we have other people who just turn up on their own, completely on their own to do it. And those who do it on their own are not usually left on their own for very long. They usually get to join in with other people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we're going to come back to you later on to talk more about this, but you know, again, this is an important part for the fundraising, isn't it, for the hospice, what people are participating in?
It is very important. I mean, we have an awful lot of money to raise every year. It costs us around about 3.8 million a year to keep the two hospices open. We get very little from statutory funding, so events like this are vital.
Okay.
And for the last 8 years, the Sleepwalk has raised an average of around 45 to 50,000 each year. So
okay, a lot of money. Well, I'm going to stop you there. We're going to come back shortly and carry on talking about this event. Now it's time for another word in What You Say. Can you guess what it means this week?
Stupid.
Stop being daft.
A ninny is a fool. Jackass.
Stop being foolish. That's like being a bit of a wuss. Kind of girly, like it's a macho thing.
Being a sissy. Don't be silly.
Stop being an idiot. Or a Burke.
Stop being an idiot.
Stop being silly.
And is that like a bit of a sissy, a bit of a like, bit of a can't really say that, can it? Not politically correct. Sort of being weak.
Stop being stupid.
Stop being
Bit daft.
Is it?
Yeah, being a bit silly.
Wet.
You're watching Estuary News. Coming up later, we visit Immingham to see their latest in bloom creation. And Dan Kemp will bring you the sports news. Still with me in the studio is Angela Greenfield talking about this year's Sleepwalk for the Hospice. Angela, we were talking before about the money raised, which is obviously why you're doing all these fundraising events. How much money can you expect to raise from the Sleepwalk?
It varies really from year to year, depending on how many people take part.
Okay.
But I think last year we raised 48,000, so you know that's an amazing amount.
That is, isn't it? And we were talking about the money. I mean, in a way, sometimes it's like a drop in the ocean because your role, coming up with events, the whole fundraising team, it's non-stop, isn't it?
It is. It's an ongoing thing. I mean, it never stops. Basically, I know there's been a big appeal recently to build the new hospice, which
Yeah.
is still ongoing. We're still in the development phase.
Yeah.
But there is also the constant sort of continual fundraising to keep the place open, to keep the nursing staff there to be able to provide the care for the people, which is what we're all about.
Yeah, it is. It's very tough, very worthwhile. Going back to numbers then, how many people realistically can you accommodate to do the sleepwalk?
We could accommodate up to 600 maximum.
Okay.
That is the level. We
Right.
couldn't, just because of space, we couldn't take any more than that.
Okay.
At the moment, registrations are a little bit slow this year, so we're hoping for a sort of a final portion. Lots of people signing up at the last minute.
Okay, so this is it. If there are people out there that work for a company or a family group, friends, it's rally time now, isn't it?
It is rally time. We need you, ladies. We need you.
Sounds like a fun event as well. So, I mean, basically, you've said you can take part. You know, you're not expected to be some fit marathon walker, are you, at the end of the day?
No, you're not. It's not a race at all. In fact, we encourage people to not treat it as a race.
Yeah.
And everybody goes at their own pace.
Mm-hmm.
Some ladies will actually complete the 11 miles in around about 2 hours or
Okay.
just over. Some of them will take 4 hours or even more, but that's fine. You know, it's
Yeah.
everybody goes at their own speed.
Exactly, that is the important thing, that people aren't put off thinking it is some kind of big competition, isn't it? And I'm assuming part of this is they've got to get their own sponsorship as well, haven't they?
They have, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is there a minimum amount of money that people are expected to gather?
No, there isn't. We just basically say that, you know, we expect people to try and get some sponsorship, but
Okay.
we know that some people mix with a lot of people, they can raise a lot of money.
Yeah.
Some might have a very small circle, so they can't raise so much, but that's fine. You know, whatever they can do, it all helps.
Okay, and the route this year, have you any idea yet of where you're going?
We have, it starts from the Grimsby Institute.
Okay.
And the route itself will set off, it will go through Grimsby, Cleethorpes, Humberston, New Waltham and Scartho, so it's quite a circular route.
Okay.
It's a route we've done before from starting from a different location, and it seemed to be the most popular, so
Okay,
we've
so
gone back to that one.
you're familiar with it. And obviously on the night as well, there are marshals along the way, aren't they, to help and guide people?
There's marshals walking with the ladies through the night.
Mm-hmm.
There's also marshals situated all the way along the route at set points.
Yeah.
Some of them will have water with them, some will have energy snacks, so you can get your chocolate bars along the way to keep you going. There's also a full first aid presence, and we have security guards out there as well in the sort of busier areas.
Brilliant. And it all takes place on Friday, July the 3rd, starting at midnight and leaving from here. And if people want to register, they can go to the hospice website, can't they?
They can, yes.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And so if people do, just to remind you that it's Friday, July the 3rd, and it starts at the Institute at midnight. But pop along to the hospice website to register. Alongside Washdyke Road in Immingham, visitors can now see a new floral attraction. Children from the town's 4 primary schools have all been working on the project to improve some of the waste ground as part of the In Bloom campaign, as Richard Morris found out.
4 local primary schools in and around Immingham have been getting green fingers working on a new community garden. It's hoped that the garden will help local insect life, as well as another gold medal for In Bloom for the town.
Well, In Bloom has always got a new project that each year. I mean, we've done fantastic with In Bloom for Immingham over the last 4 or 5 years, achieving gold awards, environmental awards and everything that's for working with children. So this year, our new project for this year's campaign was to actually turn a bit of wasteland into a wildlife haven. And again, what we always do is say we involve all 4 primary schools. And each primary school was given a theme and a project relating to wildlife. And they went away, researched it on the internet, each theme, and then they've made these interpretation boards, giving you information about all the different types of wildlife that we find around here. And I think it's turned out absolutely superb. And to have the children involved, and they're going home to their parents and saying, we've done all this, and I think that's what's happening in Immingham. We're not getting any vandalism in Immingham now, and I think it's because the children themselves are doing the work.
ABP have sponsored the project to the tune of £7,500. They say it's important to support the communities in which they work.
Well, we actually sponsored Immingham in Bloom last year. Stuart approached me last year and asked if we were involved. We'd sponsored back in 2012 when we were going through our centenary of the port and the town centenary. So it was important that we got involved in the community then, and we sponsored it then. We didn't in 2013, but we did again last year, 2014. And you know, it was really good to be involved in that, and especially to see Immingham pick up awards as well.
The children have really enjoyed getting involved and working on the project, according to Jane Day of Coombriggs Primary School.
Well, we're actually thrilled. All 4 Immingham primary schools have been involved in this community project once again. Apart from having educational benefits, we feel that it's encouraging the children to have more pride in their community and ultimately a contribution towards the Immingham in Bloom project. They've worked on this in class time. It's actually fitted in with a lot of their science studies, but children have gone home and done research and brought information into us. So I think families have been involved as well.
The judging for Immingham in Bloom takes place at the end of July.
Now joining me for a weekly look at what's happening in the world of local politics is Dave Nunn. Dave, what have you found today?
To start off, we've got 2 of our local MPs having their say on whether MPs should get a 10% pay rise, which is obviously something that's proved very controversial.
Yes,
over recent
yeah,
weeks.
it has, yeah. A lot of people are saying they don't feel that the MP's expenses row has really disappeared, has it, when you hear things like this?
It's funny because Martin Vickers mentions that exact thing in the statement he says, at the time of the expenses scandal, the public made clear that they quite rightly wanted decisions on MPs' pay taken away from MPs, as can be seen by its refusal to take heed of the Prime Minister's preference that their proposal should not go ahead. IPSO is an independent body that has made its recommendations. So, see, he agrees with what the people are thinking, that after the expenses scandal, people don't want MPs to have their own say on their own pay rise, really.
Does Melanie On have anything to say about that? Because obviously she's new to the role of MP. What's her views on it?
She was saying that she says that she will take the pay rise, but will be using it to set up donations to local charities.
Okay.
And she goes on to say, having stood alongside public sector workers in their claims for a pay rise in line with independently recommended rates, I find it inconceivable that David Cameron could say no to rises for healthcare assistants and porters, but yes to MPs, since obviously Melanie On was a regional rep for Unison. So obviously she'll be standing in line with the workers. She's still in line with on the strikes, and she'll be saying, give the pay rise away.
Interesting. Next, I think we've had this in the news today, haven't we, about these mayor, is it a metro mayor that's being billed as? What's a metro mayor?
We've been saying a lot about local authorities combining together to make bigger local authorities. But this is a bit different, this one, because we've always seen that there were talks between Hull City Council, East Riding and sort of North East Lincolnshire to combine to make a Humber authority. But this one's going on about a Yorkshire authority. So this is councils like Hull joining forces with, it says here, Leeds, Bradford, York and Sheffield to become a big authority, and they want to introduce what's called a metro mayor.
Okay, and what exactly is the metro mayor then?
Well, the easiest way to describe a metro mayor is to give you a name, and I'll just say Boris Johnson, because that's essentially what a metro mayor would be. So it'd be someone that would have a directly elected mayor that could be responsible for things like policing and transport and stuff like that.
But that's a huge... So they're basically, we're talking Sheffield, Hull, Leeds,
Bradford,
and Bradford,
York
all
and Sheffield.
coming together as one big authority. Is that what it means?
That's
With
what there could
this
be.
mayor overseeing all of that.
That's an idea that's been floated here, yeah. But it had, obviously you got Manchester's being given greater regional powers, and that region has a huge population. So obviously combining all these cities together could equal or even surpass that.
Okay.
So there is potential there, I think, for us.
And that article was in the Hull Daily Mail. Who's supporting that then?
Well, I know obviously the Hull City Council are supporting it, and the East Riding Council leader as well is with Councillor Brady holding talks with counterparts across the region. So it's supported by both authorities on the North Bank.
How would that affect Hull City's relationship then with the South Bank and the Humber region? I mean, you've got things like the bondholders and the Humber trying to bring the North and South together to work together. Surely this is going to create another big division.
Well, that's why I think the story is very interesting, because we've had so much talk in the, up to this point about a combined Humber authority, and now there's this idea that Hull and East Riding want to go with these other ones in Yorkshire, so it could be interesting. I imagine it would create a split.
Certainly, from sort of like a layperson's view, would think it might cause a split. Fortunately, that's all we've got time for, but I'm sure our viewers out there will certainly have something to say about that. Now it's over to Dan Kemp for the sport.
Hull FC winger Tom Lynham will leave the club at the end of the season. The winger will leave the KC for the Warrington Wolves, who have paid £125,000 for the player. Lynham had 2 years remaining on his current deal at the KC, will see out the remainder of the season with FC and hopes to finish the year on a high. Hull Kingston Rovers' Super League game against the Salford Red Devils at the KC Lightstream Stadium has been rearranged for Tuesday the 30th of June. The original fixture earlier this year was postponed due to the club's Challenge Cup 5th round tie against the Bradford Bulls and has been pencilled in for an 8 p.m. start. Budding women's footballers in our area will get several chances to try to earn themselves a spot in a local side. Both Hull City and North Ferriby United's ladies teams are running trial days with the aim of bolstering their squads for next season. Budding Lady Villagers can try out at the Eon Visual Media Stadium from midday this Sunday, whilst Hull City will hold theirs on July the 4th at Cottingham High School. Meanwhile, the men's side have rearranged their first 3 pre-season friendlies. The Tigers will kick off in the traditional way away to North Ferriby United on Friday, July the 17th. 4 days later, they're at Chesterfield, while the final game of pre-season is at Sheffield United a week before the season starts. And we'll bring you news of other friendlies as and when they come in. And finally, Lincolnshire biker Guy Martin's tribulations at the Isle of Man TT have continued. In Tuesday's Superstock race, the battery on Martin's BMW overheated, and despite entering the pits at the end of lap 2, just 5.5 seconds off the lead, his bike refused to restart. And that's all for the sport.
That's all we've got time for tonight, but it seems the time-lapse video of the Tyoxide Tower demolition caused quite a stir on the news and our Facebook page. Few comments. Julie Dixon said she's grown up with this structure on the skyline, and Jane Gale said her granddad worked there and her dad said it saved many people from having a life at sea. If you've got a news story, visit our Facebook or Twitter pages or email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 315 553. Goodbye.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. A chilly and cloudy start on Thursday, but a dry, sunny and warm afternoon, cooler near the coast and highs of 21 degrees. Friday will be dry and warm again.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.